And you are now listening to the fastest show on iSports Radio. My name is Daryl Kinsey Jr. welcoming you, taking a lap of the extra mile for today, June 15th, 2023. And boy, do we have a lot to get into as we are starting the second half of the International Motorsports season. But joining me on my show, of course, my co-host, Michael Ward, Christopher Lehman.
How's it going tonight?
Hello, hello.
Good to hear everybody tonight. If you're in the chat, make sure you get your comments in. Larry B, green. Yes, we are. Get your comments in if you're listening live. We'll read them on the show as we go on. We have a lot to get into with the 24 Hours of Le Mans. That was an incredible centennial event. And I think we're going to be remembering this race for quite a long time, as the hypercar class, honestly, lived up to the billing we were looking forward to, other than the BOP that was not BOP shenanigans, which we're going to let that go. But I will say on that conversation, two things can be true at the same time. They probably should not have messed with the weights of the cars, but at the end of the day, it was not the deciding factor of how that race ended. But first, before we get into it, I'll throw to Christopher and Michael. I watched a significant portion of the race. I know Chris caught about 5 or 6 hours. Michael, I don't know how much you watched, but what did you guys think?
I watched about a good 18 hours.
Okay, so you watched most of it as well. What did you think of the Centennial?
Chris, I'll let you go first.
My thoughts, I know where you're going to go, Michael, and I'm very happy for you. It seemed like every time that I was watching, which I watched two or three different points for maybe like 2.5 hours each. Garage 56 was getting a lot of attention every time I turned it on, so I loved seeing it. We got a lot of coverage on that car. There was a lot of hype around it, and the broadcast definitely bought into it as well. So it was great. There was definitely some pride that I felt seeing that car drive around. Not that I had, any part in it or anything like that, but just seeing, NASCAR represented and in a very good way, and a lot of excitement around it. So I hope that good things come from it.
Yeah, I was talking to a friend of mine who was also seeing it on track, and part of me was wondering, I don't know if you guys would agree with this, but I was wondering if they're like testing, a way to bring NASCAR back overseas to maybe Europe.
I don't know, but I want to see what happens with Garage 56 with this car going forward and what they're going to use it for, because it was a good test bed and a really good proof of concept to show that a NASCAR Cup car can handle the rigors of a 24-hour race. Now, it did have the transaxle go out a couple hours before the end. If they were able to change it in about an hour, get back out there on track. My thing, though, my funniest takeaway from that car is they didn't show it on TV a lot, but you knew when it was around, because the live mics, obviously, they're on, and they just catch any noise that's around when the cars come by. Well, you would hear the sports car-y sounds, for lack of a better word, of, the regular cars in the 24 Hours of Le Mans. And then you would hear the sound of thunder go by. They're like, okay, the Cup car's around here somewhere.
Yeah, and it was waking people up, too.
I saw that.
I love that the teams had said that the purr of that car going by was keeping them awake through the night.
Fans said that it kept them up through the night, because every 4 minutes it would come around and scare the crap out of them.
Yeah, I love it. I think that's awesome.
I think that car and the Cadillac were like the best sounding cars.
Mm-hmm.
Like
that car. Go ahead.
Like the Cadillac, when it first starts up, you hear the quietness of the hypercar.
Yes.
Then next thing you know, all you hear is wah, and then the V8 kicks in, and I'm just like, oh man, that's amazing.
that V8 kicking in was incredible, and I just wish that the Cadillacs were a little bit more competitive. I mean, they were there, the first two, the Chip Ganassi cars, although the three did run into some issues. The yellow Cadillac, the poor 311. Oh my God, that car could not catch a break all day.
Yeah, that car, it started right as soon as the race started. Like, it like, after I think it was the second chicane, it just veers off to the right and hits a wall. And I'm like, so that's how your day is about to go.
Yeah. And they proceeded to hit everything but the pace car that night. I am pretty sure that team looks back and says, yeah, let's not do that again.
No, they should do it again, though, because it's just like, it's Action Express, it's Whelen Engineering. They are so well known in North America that I feel like they have to try it again.
Yeah. I think they will go back because Cadillac wants as many cars over there as possible. They got all the bad luck out, but let's see if they have some good luck next year because it was rough.
And Caddy as a whole, they did pretty well to finish third and fourth.
Mm-hmm.
I think they did relatively extremely well. The three had problems, especially when the rain dropped. But overall, they did really well. They did really well. I think next year they're gonna come back and do well again. But for the first, I think like Team USA as a whole, we did really well at Le Mans. Let's not lie.
Yeah, I mean the cars that did not do well though were Porsche. The number 75 went out 6 hours in with an issue. Hertz Team Jota made it to the end, but that car was heavily hobbled due to a crash and some other issues. The number 6 also had issues during the day. The highest finishing Porsche, I'm looking at this chart, was in the 9th spot. That was the number 5.
About how crazy the Jota was when it took the lead.
I mean, it was nice.
It took the lead and led for a while.
Yeah. I think all the hypercars had an opportunity to lead for a while. And I'm sorry, the yellow Cadillac was the number 3, just to clean up that from earlier. But all of the hypercars, except for Van Wall and Glickenhaus, got an opportunity to lead at some point. And it really proved that this category is going to be competitive and here to stay. But at the top of the board, Ferrari, 50 years after their last win, after their last participation in the top class, they come back, they pick up the win by about 1:21 after Ryo Hirakawa in the number 8 Toyota. And look, it was probably going to be a tough ask for him to catch the number 51 because that car was just on one there on the last few hours of that race. But 2 laps after the pit stop, threw it away at the end of the Mulsanne straight. I know he had to be kicking himself all the way around to the end of that race.
Yeah, and then it's not even that, but it's just I think Hartley even said hey, there's going to be a lockup into that specific turn. The rears are going to lock up, and he told him that. And then he still made the mistake.
Yeah.
But it's you're putting so much pressure on, the third driver.
Well, not only that, you're going for your 6th straight Le Mans 24. Not only that, it's the Centennial Le Mans race. If there's any race you want to win, it's that one. So there's no way he was thinking about anything other than I've got to catch this Ferrari. And it just didn't work out for him.
And that 51 car, it's got some pretty good competition in it. It's got Alexandre Colato, it's got Pierre Guini, and some of you guys may recognize this guy, Antonio Giovinazzi.
Yeah, the guy that people called a failed driver because he didn't
He ain't a
win
failure no
in
more.
Formula One. He's a Le Mans 24 Hours champion now.
He has more clout than Charles Leclerc right now. I want you to let that sink in.
Charles was at the race, by the way, and I made this joke.
It was great that he was there too.
Yeah, and I made this joke in our text thread. You know, it's good to Charles to come over and see a competent Ferrari team for once.
Yeah, AF Corsa's GT3 program and GTE program has been really good. They've been killing it lately.
At one point in the race, by the way, there was an opportunity for AF Corsa to sweep the classes because they were leading in GT-AM. They were obviously leading with the Ferrari and Hypercar, and their LMP2 was in a position to win the race, to win their category. You could have had
the Prima, right?
No, I think they run their own. I have to go look at it. I'm actually going to look at it right now, look at the results.
Okay, because whenever I think of like Ferrari and LMP2, I usually think Prima because Prima is also the F2 team.
Yeah, I know they have I know AF Corsa also has one as well, but they were in a position to do something that I don't think has ever happened before.
Just a manufacturer sweep.
And just a team sweep.
Yeah. That would have been insane.
I think, unfortunately, the car ran into issues, ended up finishing 18th. They had the number 80 out there with Parad, Barnicoat, and Nato. But they were in a position for all three cars to win and for a team to sweep the categories for the first time ever.
Yep.
The AF Corsa GT-AM car finished in 5th. And poor Iron Dames, once again, robbed of a podium.
Yeah, especially at the end there. It was tough to watch them tumble down the order.
Yeah. Can that team have luck in WEC, please? Because I swear, every time we turn around, they have an issue.
Can we talk about some of the more like crazier moments that happened? Because this race was insane.
I mean, there was a bunch. Where do we start? I mean, there's the 7 getting clobbered.
Let's talk about the rain first.
You mean the rain that refused to fall on all of the track? It's like 6 cars spun out 3 hours in. Yeah, this race had everything. You could want in a.
If you wanted a race to just show to everybody
mm-hmm.
that had every type of emotion you can feel, this is the race.
Yeah. I think every hypercar at some point either ended up in the wall or ended up hitting something at some point.
Or got hit by something.
Yeah, the 50 Ferrari just after a pit stop hit the wall of the Porsche curves. Or not the Porsche curves. Hit the wall a couple laps. No, that was the Peugeot. Sorry. The 93 hit the wall while leading.
Yep, spun out, hit the wall, and they had to get a crane to pick it up.
The 50 spun. I think that was at the Porsche curves. I don't remember where that car spun.
It was the Porsche curves.
Okay, yeah, so I was right. It spun in the Porsche curves. They had to tow it out. We already talked about the 311 hitting everything.
Later, not even a second, like 10 minutes later, after Daryl says, Ferrari, you're gonna Ferrari.
That's when the 7 got hit.
That's when the 7 got hit.
I can go. Ferrari. Let me go back to my phone and look at it, because I can tell you.
Not lead long.
Because I saw it, I sent the text, and then I look up, and that Ferrari, and the 7 is stopped in a cloud of smoke. I'm like, oh no, what happened? Okay, scrolling. Okay, so safety car, Toyota has the lead again. Oh, there it is. Ferrari gonna Ferrari. LOL, Toyota has the lead again. You called safety car. And then I said, yeah, somebody was getting lane signals that way. Oh, that was whatever was going on at Eldora.
And then it should be the text where it says, I like how you said Ferrari is going to beat Ferrari. And then the Toyota gets hit by a Ferrari.
Oh, I didn't text it. You actually texted it. You say, I like how Daryl said Ferrari going to Ferrari. And then the Toyota gets ran over by a Ferrari. It was like immediately after I sent that text message that happened.
That Ferrari got a double kill. It got the 7 in, it got the P2.
Yep, and the poor P2. I don't even remember which P2 it was, but all the top teams, Prema was in a crash. United Autosports was in a crash. Alpine was in a crash.
And they're going to have a hypercar next year.
Yeah, all the top LMP2 cars got into wrecks. Some of them with GTE AM cars. And speaking of GTE AM, half of their cars crashed.
Yep.
Like, it wasn't even reliability. They just crashed into things.
Yeah, these are professional teams with professional drivers, and once these elements kick in, it's hard to keep focus, and then you have the pressure of it being the Centennial event, and you also have Michael Fassbender in there.
Poor Michael Fassbender, actor Michael Fassbender.
Actor. Yep,
and
actor.
He's an actor.
Yep.
And poor Proton competition, by the way.
Yeah, that crash hurt.
Not only that, all 4 of their cars were out of the race.
Yep.
And most of them, not because of wrecks of their own doing. They got run into somebody, usually an LMP2, and then Michael Fassbender, trying not to get a track limits penalty, spun coming out of the Corvette curve and put it in the wall, and damage was too much for them to fix.
Oh, yeah, that's another thing. We have actors in this race.
Yeah. So it was unfortunate, and we will see how they recover for next year, as some of these teams, obviously, they're done for Le Mans 24. I mean, they're done for WEC this year. Others are going back to IMSA, and others, they're getting ready for their Asian and European Le Mans Series seasons as they wrap those up. But
and also Peugeot actually leading the race at some point.
Peugeot actually did a lot better than I expected them to, although they were pretty off the pace. They have some work to do with that car. Their cars end up finishing 8th and 12th after they both ran into separate issues.
And then the morning came, and then the Ferrari had a falter. It wasn't starting.
Yeah, they had
a minute lead on the Toyota, by the way.
Yep, they had the power cycle, and that came into play on the final pit stop.
Yep. No, it happened twice.
Yeah, it happened twice, but the second time was the more consequential one because that was 30 minutes to go. The Toyota is 3 minutes back, nearly an entire lap back.
Yep.
Ferrari comes to pit. They take the fuel. It won't start. And we're sitting there, and I texted y'all. It said, not like this.
Yeah.
Not because Chris, I'll tell you, I was getting 2016 flashbacks from Toyota when they were a lap from victory and that car broke.
I know that gives you true PTSD.
It does, and I'm sitting there like, no.
I mean, I don't know. It was a Ferrari, so I just feel like it just would have been memed to death.
Yeah. If that car had not started, the Ferrari gonna Ferrari memes would have been hilarious.
Yeah. Well, you can't really say it would have been strategy this time around because they actually did pretty well.
Yeah. I mean, because that's a competent team, and I don't understand
how a team with less funding,
the less funded team,
less funding,
less prestige,
non Formula One groomed drivers, Well, actually,
That
one Formula One driver.
yeah, that team does well, but Scuderia Ferrari can't get their heads out their behinds, and I think I know why. This car is run by AF Corsa,
Yeah.
not an in-house Ferrari team. If they were in-house, they probably would be having the same issues. Because I really think it is an integral problem with Scuderia Ferrari F1 that they just can't get right.
I think
Yeah.
I think maybe what Ferrari needs to do is, especially after watching this race, I think they need people who are just more into racing leading
Yes.
the team. You know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of business to Ferrari that happens behind the scenes, and that interferes with the overall championship. And there's a lot of integral fighting happening in the team. Like, Ferrari's like in infighting a lot. And so if you have a team that's unified, like AF Corsa my bad, I think you're going to get a team that's more competitive than what Scuderia Ferrari is.
Well, my biggest issue with them is this. For even going back to Niki Lauda's days, there's been a air that a Ferrari of superiority over everybody else that just does not work in the modern day. They just think, oh, we're Ferrari. We're just going to go out there and we're supposed to win. You're not putting the effort in. That's why you're not winning.
Yeah, and if you put more effort in and actually go out there and realize, oh, you have, really big competition, especially Red Bull, especially Mercedes, and now Aston Martin.
Mm-hmm.
You have to go, take your head out of your A word and, try.
Yes.
So I don't know. I just hope with this victory, they kind of look at it and just say, okay, maybe we're kind of running this team a little wrong here because, a team with less funding, sports car drivers, and a former F1 driver that everybody called a failure just won the 24 Hours of Le Mans first in class. So maybe it's time we figured out something to do,
Yeah. And Chris, Red Bull kind of had to do a come to Jesus moment when they were struggling there for a few years. I think it would do Ferrari some good if they did the same.
Yeah. I would have to agree. And, I think that we kind of all are on the same page that the issues with Ferrari are far more than just one person. It's a culture issue. It's something about that building, right?
Yeah.
And so they need to figure out whatever it is. And I don't have the answer. They clearly don't have the answer. But it's hard saying, but I really think it's not like they have a clock, right? Where if they don't do well, then their sponsor's going to pull out or whatever,
Yeah, they don't have to worry about sponsors.
Yeah, they don't have to worry about answering to anybody or the threat of losing the team or anything. So,
it's like the thing that bothers me the most. I'm sorry to cut you off, Chris, but the thing that bothers me the most when it comes to Ferrari is they should be up there, like, all the time.
Yeah.
And they're not. Continue, Chris.
I was just gonna say that part of what the issue is, and I'm not necessarily saying that this is the case, but comfort breeds complacency.
Mm-hmm.
We saw that with Binotto. He was comfortable in his position, and he started sliding. And that's not the case for everybody. I mean, you look at Toto or Christian, they're not going anywhere with their respective teams, but they are both producing at a high level year after year after year.
Right.
But it's because they have to answer to somebody. They're not legacy teams that are guaranteed to be here. Toto answers to himself, right? He owns a large part of the team. So I think what Ferrari needs, and to kind of wrap this up, is they need to be held accountable. I don't know who that's to, but they need accountability on that team. And it's not new with this regime. It was with Binotto. But I think it goes deeper than just the team principal. I think you need to start looking at that organization top to bottom. And I like Carlos and Charles, but there shouldn't be anybody that's off limits to anything. Whether and not necessarily saying the drivers, obviously, but maybe you need to go get a veteran like Fernando Alonso to your team to correct the course.
Yeah, but they had that with Sebastian Vettel.
Yeah,
and
but I don't
never
think
gotten any better.
I don't think they utilized him correctly. And it goes back to this accountability. I mean, they had him, but they didn't use him the way that they should have. And that's the problem. Ferrari and pardon my French, but they just need to boot up the ass.
Yeah.
Somebody needs to go in there, kick down some doors, raise their voice. Oop, we lost Michael.
We'll get him back. But I think that's what Vassar is doing.
Yeah, but I don't think he came in with enough. Somebody needed to go in there and kick the door down, right?
Mm-hmm.
They didn't need to walk through the front door of that place. They needed to kick it down, point their pistol, and say, "You're out of here," right? And obviously, this is all just metaphorical.
Yeah,
but guns blazing, so to speak, is how he should have walked into that building, and I don't think that that's how he went in. At least it doesn't seem like that publicly or from anything that we've heard.
Yeah, and they're going to have to shake that up because we know Ferraris can win. It's just that Formula One team that's having all the issues. But before we close the book on Le Mans, a special shout out to both Inter Europol and Corvette. Corvette, the 33, had to go behind the wall go into the garage to fix a damper on the car, basically a shock. They had to replace it with a new one, lost 3 laps on Saturday. On Sunday, they were on the top step of the podium. Corvette absolutely earned their win in the Centennial 24 Hours of Le Mans, which, guys, is going to be the last time for the factory Corvette team, as they made the announcement that they are no longer going to be involved as a factory team starting in 2024 with the new GT3 spec Corvette coming out, but there will still be plenty of factory support for a bunch of customer teams that they've got lined up for the car. So it's kind of a bittersweet announcement that the factory Corvettes are going bye-bye, but they're still going to be racing.
Yeah, they're still going to be racing. They're still going to be out there, but it's just a shame that the team is going to be going away. They're such a legendary team. Also, I think it's really ironic that car's number was 33.
Yes.
Yeah, that's just going to bother me now.
And Inter Europol, I get to make this joke. You just lost to a bakery.
Yep.
For folks that don't get it, the Inter Europol brand that sponsors the LMP2 car, the number 34 that won the 24 Hours of Le Mans, that is a bakery in Europe.
Y'all lost to a bakery.
And they own a race car because somebody in the company likes going racing, obviously. And they won. They're a Polish bakery. And they are 24 Hours of Le Mans champions.
I mean, we got F1 teams losing to an energy drink, so
yep,
it's not really surprising.
It's a marketing team that sells energy drink to pay for it.
Basically,
it's still an energy drink.
And hey, if you want to get some fine inter-Europol products to celebrate, they have markets in Marquis, Malopol, and Piazzezno, Poland. If you want to head over there, they open at 6:30 in the morning. So,
I might go ahead and give me a slice.
Yep. Actually, they've got some all around the Warsaw area. Seems to be where they're based out of is the Warsaw area. So they got a bunch of bakeries around there. So,
yeah. You guys want some bread, maybe some muffins?
I could go for a muffin or two.
Yeah.
Don't know if it'll still be fresh by the time you get back, but
yeah.
Don't threaten me with a good time.
Everybody's favorite type of muffin. I like blueberry.
I love blueberry muffins. But congratulations, though, to everybody that won and everybody that finished the 24 Hours of Le Mans. That's one part that gets lost in all this. Winning is one thing. Finishing this gauntlet is another. And anybody that can say their car was running at the end has nothing to be upset about.
Yeah, did you see the Cadillacs during burnouts down the Molson?
I saw that. That was awesome.
That was beautiful. Just so happy they finished the race.
Yeah. So they will so the teams will now take a break, rest, recharge, clean up the cars. They will go back racing for the 6 hours of Monza. That'll be July 7th through the 9th. And with the fact that Ferrari won the 24 Hours of Le Mans, this is going to be also a rare Sunday race for WEC. It's probably going to be standing room only to welcome their victors of the 24 Hours of Le Mans home.
Yeah, Monza is going to be an intense race for them because I know Toyota is going to be ready for blood. They're going to want some revenge.
Yeah. It's going to be a fun race. Can't wait. Also, this is unfortunate news as we move away from 24 Hours of Le Mans. The W Series has entered into administration, the European version of bankruptcy protection. That happened today. And that more than likely will put an end to the all-women series that had a early end to its 2022 season. It appears that series will be no more. And to be honest, I kind of called it when Formula One did their F1 Academy thing. It really felt like the W Series was forgotten. And I know the series was very controversial. I know we had a dust up about it. Michael will remember this with Matt White and our previous co-hosts, Caitlin and Lita. Yeah. He was a fan of it. We were not fans of it, but you know, as long as they put the effort in to make it work, it could have been something, but they just didn't put the effort in to market this and make it something that people wanted to see.
I just felt like the series as a whole, if it was going to be a series, you know, have it so that somebody legit gets a chance to get into F2. But then, you know, they have a chance to at least get into F1. It's just like you win the W Series, woohoo, and then you get to do it again. But it's just like, I didn't really see any option beyond that for the drivers. You know what I mean?
I mean, you had Jamie Chadwick win 3 straight championships. Unfortunately, she has not had a great season in Indy Lights, so that is yet again not helping the whole women in motorsport thing, which is unfortunate. But there's not much you can do about it. First year in that car, trying to get used to it. And the season just hasn't worked out for her. She's not with the best team. Actually, let me see who she's with before I say that. But Jamie, it's kind of in a struggle in Indy Next. She's with Andretti Autosport, so you would say, well, that's not, there's no excuse there. But
I mean,
Andretti's
it's her
not
first
the one
year,
with.
so
It's her first year, and Andretti's not the team with 10 cars, literally, in the series. So it's coming together for her, but to bring this back to the W Series, they didn't put the work into it, and despite what Alice Powell said, the series failed because, yet again, folks didn't work hard enough to invest in the women's sports. It's the same reason WNBA has been treading water for over a decade. You refuse to put the effort into it and wonder why it doesn't grow. And it's unfortunate. So we'll see how it goes. Chris, what are your thoughts on the imminent demise of the W Series?
I mean, right along with yours, it's a damn shame, and it's just kind of overall indicative of women's professional sports, kind of as a whole, really. They definitely don't get the amount of attention that they deserve from the, not only fans, but from the powers that be. I mean, they're just definitely not taking us seriously, and as a result, there's less funding, less exposure, and I think a lot of it can really come down to a lack of marketing. I mean, how many times are you flipping through and you see a commercial for the NBA Finals or the Super Bowl, or I mean, you don't really get them much for motorsports, I guess, unless you're kind of on a motorsports channel. But like as an example, the WNBA. I mean, you're watching any channel really, and you're going to get a commercial for the NBA Finals. But I can't say that I've ever seen a commercial for like the WNBA Finals or whatever their equivalent is, and I suppose I'm part of the problem.
I have
too,
not,
because I don't really watch, but
I haven't seen a consistent TV ad for the WNBA in years. I see them at the start of the season, and then that's it. I don't see commercials at all for Mystics games or any of them on TV. So I never know when those are on unless I'm going to actively go look for it. And that is a problem. And here's one more thing I'm going to say, and then we're going to move on. If a woman has to resort to OnlyFans to get her sponsorship money to come back to racing in GT3, it's not an indictment of the woman. It's an indictment of the system that makes it that it's the only way for her to get sponsorship is to go to OnlyFans. And if she's whatever derogatory term you want to call a woman for doing that, what does that make you? And I'm just going to leave that right there. I'm going to go talk about Sonoma for a bit because I don't feel like getting that mad today.
Sonoma.
And Larry, he asked, so now where do these women race? Who knows? Again, there's the F1 Academy. That's not even being shown, by the way. So I have no idea how that's going. They're supposed to be putting together some damn documentary for that. But we saw how well that went with the W Series. So that's another thing. Let me get off this topic. because I'm going to get us in trouble. We're just going to get off this topic. Let's go over the NHRA winners for the last couple of weeks, and then we'll get into Sonoma. Because if I stay on this topic, I'm going to get us in trouble. Because I feel passionately about this, and y'all know how I get. So, the New England Nationals and the Thunder Valley Nationals ran the last couple of weeks. They had to run both races in Bristol because the rain was just torrential in New Hampshire, Epping, New Hampshire. They did not get any of the running in on Sunday or Monday when they tried to run that race. Justin Ashley and Bob Tasker III took the wins in the New England Nationals that were finished in Bristol. And in Bristol at the Thunder Valley Nats, Justin Ashley doubled up, while Ron Capps took the win in Funny Car. Erica Enders finally got off the schneid in Pro Stock, and Steve Johnson picked up the win in Pro Stock Motorcycle as another exciting weekend of NHRA drag racing. And they got a twofer out there in Tennessee. They will be running once again June 22nd through the 25th in Norwalk, one of the more crown jewel events, the NHRA Summit Racing Equipment Nationals from Norwalk. Going to be a real fun event, June 22nd through the 25th. So now we go ahead and get into NASCAR with Sonoma. That race was won by Martin Truex Jr., fourth career win at Sonoma. The race without the stage cautions was okay. We just have to face facts. Sonoma is not that great of a racetrack. We're there because we need a Northern California race, and that's pretty much why we're there. We just have to accept that. But on the other hand, a great run for Michael McDowell, AJ Allmendinger, 6th and 7th. But, guys, we got to talk about Ross Chastain for a bit. What
did he do?
This time, nothing.
Oh.
But he has not been the same driver since Justin Marks had to have a chat with him. And my concern with Mr. Chastain is that he's gone too far in the other direction. That he's gone from too aggressive to too conservative. He's got to find a happy medium between those to be successful.
So he had a stern talking to, and now it's kind of messed up his performance.
That's what it seems like. But, Chris, the problem is he got into it with Hendrick, as we said back then at Darlington, the Chevy team. And I don't think Justin Marks just got a call from Rick Hendrick saying he's myth. I think some Chevy executives in the Chevy racing department gave Justin Marks a call and said, you better get him in line, or y'all are going to be looking for another manufacturer.
I have a feeling that Thor's hammer would have been a lighter burden than what Chevrolet called Justin Marks and talked about.
Yeah.
Because I have a feeling that he got the ass chewing of a lifetime.
That was probably a loud conversation and not friendly.
No. And I would have to imagine that, and not to lose our PG rating here, but they say that shit flows downhill.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And so I would have to imagine that Ross Chastain, while probably not quite the same chewing that Justin Marks got from Chevrolet, they got through to Ross Chastain. Justin Marks must have called him in and gave him the fear of God, because he is a completely different driver.
Yeah.
And I think, to be fair, I think this could have been nipped in the bud a year ago, and we would have seen, because he's just disappeared. And I think that if they would have just handled this a year ago rather than celebrating it and mocking it and building up his confidence, I think if they would have course corrected right there, we would be seeing a competitive Ross Chastain who is respected by the field.
Yeah, when he started to have the issue, when he had the issue last year with Hamlin, to where Hamlin was literally chasing him around the track, threatening to wreck him, is when they should have had this conversation. Not when the sanctioning or the manufacturer probably dangled their support over to their heads to get him to calm down. And now you got a position where you've shattered, it feels like they shattered his confidence.
Yeah, I think he'll find it again. It's just going to take some time, and maybe, I don't want to say that it's a good thing, but maybe this will be good for him. It's not like he's coming in, he's got to win. He doesn't have a win yet. He's in on points, but maybe it's good that he's changing the way he drives now rather than in the heat of the playoffs. He's got some time to reestablish his groove.
Yeah, because he was not going to win a championship with what he was doing.
No,
like he absolutely was not going to win that. Not going to win a championship. And we'll see how it changes for the rest of the year. Martin Truex Jr. has assumed the points lead. Just make sure this is right. There we go. Points. Yes. Martin Truex Jr.
winning again.
Yep. So he picks up the win. He assumes the points lead. Second win of the year for Martin Truex Jr. William Byron, Ryan Blaney, Ross Chastain, Kevin Harvick, the top five in the points. Bubba Wallace holds on to that 15th place point spot in the championship. Tyler Reddick is 13th, even with the one win. But for Bubba, that has closed up. That gap between him and 16th a little bit. Was plus 35, now plus 26 after a not so great Sonoma. And look, he's got to get better on road courses. I get it. They haven't. They're a bugaboo for him. He's got to throw that away and stop psyching himself out before he even gets on the track. Because these road courses are here to stay. And he's going to have to get better at them.
And maybe do some of the Xfinity road course races.
Well, he does those, then the car breaks on him.
Oh, then you just can't win.
Yeah, but he's just gotta do better.
Yeah, and we've been seeing him do better, but he's just got to do better on the short tracks. But I think he'll manage.
Mm-hmm. We'll see what they decide to do, or not see what they decide to do. He's going to have to get out there. Hey, you know what race he needs to run?
Which race?
He needs to run 24 Hours of Daytona.
That would be a great. Actually, it would be a great lesson for him, actually.
I think he's got to start doing those because he's got to build up his confidence.
I agree with you. I think he should take advantage of the fact that he can run other series while he's in NASCAR. And then maybe because you got next, I think this year we're going to have Kamui Kobayashi do a one-off with 2311, and I think that would be a great person to learn something from,
That's going to be a fun weekend to see him run that.
Yeah, and I think that's just the guy to teach him a lot about road course racing.
Yep. As we get ready for... NASCAR's off this weekend, so they get their one off weekend of the season. Which
on Father's Day.
Yeah, Father's Day weekend, which I'm not a fan of them only having one off weekend. As we look
on Father's Day.
Yeah, that too. As we go into the second half of the NASCAR season, who do you guys think is most under the gun to need to make something happen in this run to Daytona?
Honestly,
And
I
I need
really
to
want
look
to
at.
say Chase, but that's
I
just
need to
me.
look at the standings quick. I
I'll
would
send.
say Chase for sure.
Mhm.
Chase is definitely in trouble. However, I don't think he's under the gun only because of who he is.
Yeah.
So I don't really feel that he's got a whole lot of pressure on him. I'm looking at the.
I will start while you guys look at that. I'm gonna say Austin Dillon.
I was just thinking that myself.
He is 28th in points.
You know what? I would counter that, and I wouldn't say it's a driver, but we need to see more out of Legacy Motorsports or Motor Club. Sorry,
Yes.
when your driver gets out and says he's ready for the off season, getting ready for next year, and it's
June.
it's June. Yeah, we're not even halfway through the season, and I think he actually said this last week at Gateway. I don't think he said it this week at Sonoma.
Who are we talking
Yeah, it
about?
was definitely
Eric?
You talking
Noah.
about Noah Gregson?
No,
Oh,
it was at
well,
Gateway.
Well, Noah's just had an awful rookie season.
Yeah, but you've got a driver getting out of the car and saying he's ready for the off season.
That shouldn't be happening.
I think Chase needs to fall back in love with racing, though.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think he's in. It feels like he's not interested. And Michael, you weren't here last year when I kind of brought that up, but Chase just seems like he's kind of checked out, in my opinion.
Well, he won that championship, and he's like, okay, I'm good.
Yeah.
Which is not ideal. You would think, you win a championship, the bloodlust will take over and you want more.
Yeah. Exactly. And I don't want to bring this back, but like, you've got the young gun, which I mean, we would call Chase the face of NASCAR.
Yes.
And if his love of racing is waning, so will thousands of fans. If he's not doing good, if he's not performing week after week, you're going to see fans leave the sport because Chase Elliott is that type of person.
Well, we saw it. Look at the ratings drop when he was out for those 6 weeks.
Yeah. Yeah.
Historic drops when they had been growing.
Yep. That's the power of Chase Elliott.
Yeah, he's got to get it together. And I was talking about Austin Dillon. His teammate has won 3 races this year. He is 28th. He has one top 5 the whole year. You want to know how many laps he's led? Take a stab at it, because I bet you won't guess it.
I bet you it's 0.
Surprisingly higher. But not by much.
I'll say less than 5.
You would be right. He's led 3 laps all season.
Yeah.
Chase Briscoe is 31st in points. Now, Chase also got that massive penalty after the fake part that did not help them one iota. It has led...
that was like 110 points, right? Or 125?
120. Chase has led 115 laps. He's got to do better. Yeah.
Basically, he would have been up in the upper teens.
Yeah, he was actually up there. He was the reason Bubba was on the 16th. Was 16th.
Yeah.
Bubba actually moved to 15th after he dropped out.
Yeah, and then Bowman moved to 16th.
Yes. Suarez is 3 points out in 17th, but Michael, who do you think has got to step it up here?
I really want to say the whole of Stuart Haas, to be honest with you, minus Harvick.
Well, Stuart Haas is just doing what Haas has been doing in
Yeah.
Formula One. Absolutely nothing, and possibly selling, undercutting international sanctions to the Russians.
I'm just surprised at how much they've fallen off, you know?
Yeah.
They went from dominating the championship into not really being there at one point.
It's absolutely crazy what's been going on with them. And they've definitely got to figure it out, because neither of their teams have shown, none of the teams over there other than Harvick, who's in his last year, has shown any sort of speed. Ryan Preece coming back has been a failure, to be honest. Wait. So they got a lot they got to fix.
Yeah, Priest, I feel like he probably wasn't the best choice.
No.
I think there were better options out there.
Well, Priest, they felt like they owed Priest another ride, so that's why they brought him back. Eric Almirola's just doing Eric Almirola things. And then Chase, he wasn't doing that great before they got dinged with the penalty anyway. So,
yeah, Eric Almirola is just rolling with Smithfield. That's why he's there.
yeah, he is what it is, which is running out the string before he retires.
See, Austin Dillon, I don't feel like he's under the gun because, there's no pressure.
Well, there's no pressure because Papa. Yeah. But how long is... Same thing what we keep talking about in Formula One, though, with Lance Stroll. How long are you going to keep your kid over there before you realize I'm actively hurting my team?
I think Richard Childress and Lawrence Stroll are two completely different people.
Yeah. I think Richard will kick him out that seat.
I don't think he would. I think the only thing that'll get him out of that seat is if he's a closet liberal.
Well,
that's the only way he loses that seat.
Well, that's the rumor why you didn't help Ty out, but that's a whole other story.
That's why I say there's only one reason you get kicked out of Richard Childress's favor.
Yeah. I just don't know how you keep him over there. I really don't.
I agree. There are much better options out there.
And with those guys working on that car, it's like you barely see victory lane when the guys in the other car are racing for a championship. That's going to breed some resentment.
You know what would have been a scary lineup is Kyle Busch and Tyler Reddick.
That would have been a terrifying lineup, actually.
And that's probably what should have happened.
Yeah, they let the wrong guy go.
Yeah. I feel like Austin Dillon might have better potential if he was somewhere else too.
Mm-hmm.
I think he could have a much more successful career if he was somewhere else. I think, again, comfort breeds complacency. He knows he's not going anywhere, so what incentive does he have to improve his craft?
He doesn't have any, and you can see by how he's been running. So, we got a lot. Yeah.
Kyle Busch in the 3 would have been crazy.
That would have been something. I think once Austin's done with it, I think he'll retire the number.
I think that'd be good for everybody.
I don't want it to retire, but it is what it is.
Yeah, I don't know.
Well, we do have some open wheel racing this weekend as well before we get ready to get out of here. We do have the Formula One Grand Prix in Montreal, the Canadian Grand Prix, and Road America will have IndyCar this weekend. We'll start with the Canadian Grand Prix. I think the top spot of the championships are pretty much sewn up, but guys, we got a real good fight for second going on between Aston Martin and a surging Mercedes heading into Montreal this weekend.
Yep, it's going to be fun.
Yes, it will.
Not to mention, there is a chance of the wet stuff. Actually, there's a guarantee of rain on Saturday. Friday has a chance of storms in the afternoon. And Sunday, 50-50 shot of rain. So the weather could throw just a little bit of a curveball into the racing this weekend.
Let's hope it does.
I think that's what everybody wants to see. And I think the weather and the randomness of the rain and where the wetness gets around the track, that's probably the only thing that's going to stop a certain Red Bull victory this weekend. Because at this point, unless there's a giant shakeup, there is nothing that's going to stop Red Bull, in my opinion, from running the table. They just have the much better package this year.
Yeah, like I said, they figured out something that the other teams couldn't.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what's leading to their success. So I think what these teams need to do is think about what they can do for next year to close the gap, because the Red Bull's winning by like 15 seconds or sometimes 20 seconds. So they need to figure out something to do to close the gap.
Mm-hmm. It's going to take a lot of work to get that done. The racing will actually start at a
and Ferrari
decent
needs
time.
to fix their whole car.
Ferrari just needs to get ready for next year.
Yeah,
The Red Bull
figure out their tire wear.
Yep.
Red Bull brought a high downforce wing, the same one they used at Monaco and Spain.
Mm-hmm. I'm surprised about that. There are some high-speed sections of this track, but I guess Sector 1 and Sector 2 are a bit more downforce dependent, so I get it. But you do have that long back stretch you're going to be surrendering time on.
They've got that DRS locked down, though, so they might not be too worried about it.
Yeah, but my question is, looking at the weather report, how often is DRS going to be active? We know it's not going to be there for qualifying at this point. It's about an 80% chance of rain all day. And then going into Sunday, it's a 50-50 shot that we don't get rain.
I don't know. I think at this point, though, I don't know if I'm ready to start questioning Red Bull's decisions. I think that they're doing just fine.
Plus, Max is really good in the wet.
And they might. Maybe Lance Stroll will surprise us this weekend.
Oh God, let's not start that.
No, maybe he wasn't doing too bad last race.
I don't know. We'll see. We'll see if it pays off or not. I'm not going to question it.
They'll figure something out. They usually do. So, last little race coming up this weekend before we get ready to say goodbye. Of course, we are going to Road America for IndyCar racing. This is usually one of their fun races, the Sunseal Grand Prix at Road America. And this week, it's Alex Palou, Marcus Ericsson, top two in the points. Joseph Newgarden is in third. It's Ganassi versus Penske as we head into the second half of the IndyCar season, trying to decide who's going to win this championship.
Yeah, we will see how it plays out.
Mm-hmm. The one thing I do like about this track is it is real fast in IndyCar, and it may not have worked out that much for NASCAR, but Indy cars around here, and definitely sports cars, they just look right on this circuit, and that's one of the things that matters somehow. It's just aesthetic that works, but it's going to be fun with a packed, competitive field. 27 cars. Could be racy, could be a wreck fest. Hope not. But it will be fun, and there is a brand new surface on Road America, first time since 1995 that it has been repaved. You see some bad fast qualifying times this week, guys.
Yeah, it sounds like it.
So, we're going to get ready to end this week's show. This weekend, I will actually be going out to see some racing. Oh, crap. There's another show coming on, so we do actually need to start wrapping up here, so I apologize for that. We've gone over time. Let's quickly do Nearest the Win. And it is picking for Formula One and... Actually, we are 6 minutes over. So here's what we will do. We will do the Nearest the Win picks. We will put those up on Twitter. And we're going to get out of here to let the next show come on. I apologize. We started a little late tonight because I had something to do for work. So I apologize to that. But we will see you all next week. Remember, Chris is at Fiji Sims. Michael's at Michael_Ward25. And we will see you guys at the next green flag. This has been the Extra Mile. Have a wonderful evening.